This is a group that their flag reads "God is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews." These aren't people who are going to stop after a kind of initial response. These aren't people who are going to say, "Oh well, we got away with this for a little period of time, but actually it doesn't look so good anymore."
Mm.
These are people who are ideologically fervently intent on doing what they're doing, which they say is trying to disrupt shipping going to Israel, but actually seems to be harassing all kinds of merchant vessels, tankers, cargo ships, and as a result, making making people who buy food in the UK or use energy or businesses that are waiting for deliveries, making them pay more. This is about putting the kind of foot on the throat of the world and saying, if you don't do what we want you to do, there will be consequences.
Overnight, the US carries out another missile strike on a Houthi site in Yemen. A ship fired missiles at a radar position. Washington have called it a follow-up action to the wider attacks on Thursday night. Gabriel Gavin of Politico is following events. Morning, Gabriel. Hello, Gabriel. I'm not sure Gabriel Gavin's with us right now.
Good morning.
Oh, hang on, we've got Gabriel now. Hello, Gabriel, can you hear us?
Can hear you very well.
Yeah, good. We've got you loud and clear now. Gabriel, just what more do we know, first of all, about this follow-up action? It sounds as though basically a target may not have been hit as effectively first time round.
Yeah, well, this is the second day of overnight strikes, and I think it's unrealistic to assume that all of the targets the US and the UK had wanted to hit in the first set of fighter jet and missile strikes were going to be hit. I think this is about continually showing that actually this wasn't a one-off. The US and the UK are going to continue to put the pressure on the Houthis. We know that just yesterday, in an apparent retaliation for the strikes, the Houthis fired an anti-ship missile on a merchant vessel traversing the straits on the way up to the Suez Canal. So it's clear the Houthis aren't giving up. So I think it's important that, for the US, for the UK, they seem to want to signal that they're not going to give up either and that they're in this for the long haul.
In terms of then, I suppose the motivations, the long haul nature of this, as you say, while it may be a quiet day or two on the part of actions from the Houthi, is this simply about regrouping, re-establishing weapons and ammunition and whatnot before launching more attacks in the Red Sea again?
I think it's really hard to know what happens next, as always. But in this particular case, the weapons stockpiles, the drone launch sites, those were the things that were destroyed with these precision munitions on Friday morning. And I think it will take a period of time for the Houthis' close ally, Iran, to help restock their stockpiles. That they certainly do have some weapons still. But I think it's clear that this is a group that their flag reads "God is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse the Jews." These aren't people who are going to stop after a kind of initial response. These aren't people who are going to say, "Oh well, we got away with this for a little period of time, but actually it doesn't look so good anymore." These are people who are ideologically fervently intent on doing what they're doing, which they say is trying to disrupt shipping going to Israel, but actually seems to be harassing all kinds of merchant vessels, tankers, cargo ships, and as a result, making people who buy food in the UK or use energy or businesses that are waiting for deliveries, making them pay more. This is about putting the kind of foot on the throat of the world and saying, if you don't do what we want you to do, there will be consequences. And I think the maritime security mission is all about saying, well, actually, you can't do that. You can't use your geography to hold the world hostage.
What is the kind of purpose of holding the world hostage, as you put it, Gabriel? What does Iran, what do the Houthis want out of this? Have they got stated and clear objectives and ambitions?
Well, I think primarily, I mean, again, I'd go back to their flag. I think death to America and death to Israel are high up there on the list of priorities. But I think they're clearly trying to try and convince the world that this conflict in the Middle East is only getting worse, that it's going to affect countries like, for example, Egypt, which uses the straits to export its energy, vital to its economy. The Qataris, the Bahrainis, the Saudis, they all use this strategic waterway. So I think it's about trying to raise the costs of the conflict in Gaza for Arab states as much as anything. And I think what Iran consistently does is it loves to act through proxy groups like this in Syria and Lebanon. And I think it's pretty effective at making sure that when it foists the costs onto Arab states, it's other Arabs who get the blame.
Is it clear yet, Gabriel, if the Red Sea is safer today than it was a couple of days ago for the types of vessels and ships that want to use it?
I think it's really early days to
Yeah.
say. I mean, cruise liners or cargo operators are already saying it's going to take months before they're really confident that this route is safe. And when you read the battle reports, they read like something out of a war zone. I mean, anti-ship missiles coming in, being shot down by Western warships, drones roaring overhead. I mean, this has been an extremely dangerous conflict, and it only takes one missile to get through that that anti-missile defense, hit an oil tanker, and suddenly you've created a catastrophe in one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. So this is a really potentially very volatile situation indeed.
Gabriel, thank you very much. Good to catch up with you. Gabriel Gavin there from Politico. I return again to the comment from Jim Townsend, who was an official in the US Defense Department. He was a US Deputy Secretary of Defense, who said the lid is on the pot, but the pot is for sure boiling. And I think that is the sort of undercurrent, if I may, for the course of this weekend and the next few days, is when the lid may or may not, I suppose, but may blow off that pot.